This kidnapper was even protected by the hostages, while the police officers who rescued the hostages were severely beaten by the people. Is there a breakdown of law and order and a reversal of black and white here? This father has been law-abiding and kind all his life. But what should he do when his son, who is seriously ill, is not given proper treatment and instead he is asked to pay exorbitant medical fees? What should he do when he seeks help from the insurance company and his workplace, only to be cheated by them jointly? What could he do when he put his hope in the Social Security Department, only to be kicked back and forth as a soccer ball and subjected to all kinds of ridicule and stares? All of this pushed him to the brink of extinction, and he just wanted his son to live. His son is sunny, handsome and smart. His father, John, worked hard so that he could go to a good school. But what John didn't expect was that his son suddenly fainted during a baseball game. After examination, he realized that his heart was broken and he had to have a heart transplant immediately. The surgery cost $150,000, which is a lot of money for an already poor family. Seeing that they couldn't afford the surgery, the hospital told them to let nature take its course. John approached the insurance company, but they said it wasn't covered by their insurance. He approached the relevant department for a help ticket and got a number to fill out a form before he could get in line. It took time to get back in line at the wrong entrance. When he finally got in line, he was flatly rejected. John could only sell his family assets and borrow money from all over the world, but it was still far from enough. He went to the TV station, but the reporter refused him because he didn't think the news was strong enough. Just when John was feeling desperate, his wife called from the hospital. Had the hospital let up, but his wife's words were the last straw that broke his back.
Just left here, and they are releasing Mike this morning.
Wait, all right, baby, wait a minute, hold on. No, they're not going to send him home. I gave them money yesterday.
John could only find the attending doctor, but was ruthlessly rejected. Driven to desperation, John pulls out a pistol and hijacks the doctor to get to the emergency room and barricades the door. He looks at the patients, who are also unable to pay for medical care, and decides to force the doctor to treat them for free, even criminals injured in robberies. However, the hospital surveillance attracts the police, who surround the building. The police negotiate with John, but he makes only one demand.
Kid's name on the donor's list. You got that? My kid's name on the donor's list.
However, the police respond to him with cold negotiating words that are clearly delaying and deceptive. The patients in the emergency room receive initial treatment, and they begin to sympathize with John and complain about the injustice of the healthcare system. Just then, a pregnant woman suddenly feels sick, and John plans to release her. However, a rich kid takes the opportunity to sneak up on John, but is subdued by the others. Although this was unexpected, it made sense. The released hostages were interviewed by the media, and they all described John as a good guy. This confused the media, and the case drew a lot of attention from the community, even triggering a big parade. In order to quell the effects as quickly as possible, the police chief, with great disregard for the progress of the negotiations, ordered snipers to infiltrate the ventilation ducts at any time, looking for an opportunity to shoot John. He also lied to John's wife that his son's operation had been coordinated so that she could persuade John to surrender. However, it turns out that John is exposed to firing range. At this point in time, a reporter steals the police surveillance signal and exposes the director's dirty deeds. This time he thought the news would be sensational. Sure enough, the fame was huge. Luckily, the sniper only wounded John in the arm and people cheered. John asks for his son to be brought in, and the doctor says that even though he's on the unanimous list, there's simply no proper heart right now, and he'll still die. John offers to use his heart, much to the shock of the hostages. John keeps pleading, and the doctor finally agrees to the procedure. John arrives at his son's bedside to say his final goodbyes.
Mike, just try to stay away. You always listen to your mother.
He was about to commit suicide when things took a turn for the worse. This time, John lies on the operating table and loads his weapon. It turns out that he had used an empty gun before, but this time he loaded it so that the doctors could dig out his heart and transplant it into his son. But just then, his wife receives word that the heart of a man who died in a car accident is a perfect match for his son, and a helicopter is on its way with the heart. The wife rushes to the emergency room door, and a miracle really does happen. All the hostages are released, and John chooses to turn himself in. And the negotiator discovers that it wasn't John who was pulled away by the police. The real John followed his wife to the operating room. He saw with his own eyes that his son's surgery was a success. The backstory continues to fester, and the insurance company is severely penalized, leading directly to the birth of a new healthcare law. John was sentenced to years for kidnapping, but his son survived, and it was all worth it.